Welcome to Umoja Urban Culture TV. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of the Ethiopian culture of celebrating Malcolm Gena. We'll unpack the rich history, tradition, and the spirit of togetherness that makes this day so special. So grab your Ethiopian coffee and let's get this Gena party started. Today, I have two special brothers that's going to inform us about this special day. My brothers, let our guests know who we're talking to today. We can start with my brother.
Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Selassie Jah, Rastafari, King Selassie the First. Yes, this is Kabangani Siziva coming from South Africa, We're here to reason about our ways of our Ethiopian Christmas. Can I kindly associate and be with my Creator? Have a few words for I. Blessed is the man that walk not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of the sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, in his law to meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree that is planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruits in due season. His leaf also shall not wither, whatsoever it doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but like a chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Jah, Rastafari, know the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish, an unquenchable flame of fire. Rastafari.
Blessings.
Give thanks,
Love and light. Rastafari live.
Yes, I.
Greetings one more time. Sons and daughters of the Most High, in the name of the living I.
Yes.
Yes, Papa Echo,
Papa
Aquarian
Echo.
teacher, perpetual scholar. Yes, we are students of life, and the works require knowledge, in this time, in this age of Aquarius especially. We do need to be cognizant of the times. And so it is why we are here to speak about the calendar, the times that are relevant, and in particular, what constitutes the peak moment in the cycles of time. So
Yes.
we look forward to this.
We give thanks.
Yes, I.
Yes, I. So, celebrated on January the 7th, following the Julian calendar in Ethiopia, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
Can we talk more about the date? Because it definitely does not fall on the same date as the Christian who celebrates Christmas on 25th December.
Yeah.
Please tell us
Yes,
why
I
the
know.
7th of January.
Go for
Yes,
it.
my teacher. I'm with my teacher here.
Yes.
We need some background because we're here to simplify what has been complicated in many years.
For real.
Making sure people they know what they're celebrating because, as we say, it's a festive of a new season. So we need to understand what is time and space because we're living in time and space. But you've got to understand before there was time and space, there was nothingness. In the primeval waters, where there was no differences, there was no forms. So we need to know that the first thing that came out of the primordial waters, it was the sun. So it's where the ancient people, they come now to make us understand and know the path of the sun, the ecliptic path, how the sun is moving, how is it giving us light and day. For we're told by our Creator that the greatest sun will rule the day, the moon will rule the night, but they will also give us time. So that is where we mark our time.
See?
So time is Trinity. It's about a day, it's about a year, it's about a great year. A day is 24 hours, a year is 365 days, and a great year, which is about the precession of equinoxes, it's a year which is 25,920. So to know and understand the ecliptic path of the sun, our ancestors and our forefathers, they told us, where is this path? Just like when you move on earth, you've got a car moving on a road. So the sun is having a path celestially. The path of the sun is there now. We have a celestial equator. Within the celestial equator, when you go above 23 and a half, we find now another line, which is the Tropic of Cancer. which is above the equator. Below the equator, we've got the Tropic of Capricorn. That is where exactly the path of the sun is. So in that path of the sun, we've got 12 constellations in the zodiac. That is where time has been made. So when you look in the east in the morning, according to the day, when you rise early in the morning, you look in the east. We've got to explain to our people to simplify this time. They're talking of hours. The ancients, they told us hours. You replace R with an S is an Horus. So now that is Heru. Our ancient people knew that when you talk of hours, we must know what to talk about. When you wake up in the morning, you see the sun is rising. The sun is traveling through this part of the 12th constellation. In each constellation is spending 2 hours. So we're having 12 constellation. 12 times 2 is 24. So a day it's about the light, a day it's about the darkness. That makes 24 hours. The first constellation, when you rise in the morning, the sun occupies the constellation of Aries. It spends 2 hours there. Another 2 hours is go to Taurus. Another 2 hours is go to Gemini. Another one to Cancer. Another one, it moves on the sun, it goes to what we call Leo. Then it moves to the constellation of Virgo. It moves to the constellation of Libra, making us now to spend what we call a light. For when you wake up in the morning, you don't say 6 in the hours. Cannot have 6 hours rise in the morning, still 0. You say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Then you've already on the sunset, where is the constellation of Libra. The sun is going down. Now we go to darkness. Another 2 hours, then the constellation of what we call Scorpio. It moves again to the constellation where we call it now is the constellation where I know that is the constellation of Sagittarius. From Sagittarius, it moves on. It goes now to Capricorn, from Capricorn to Aquarius, Aquarius to Pisces. That is a 24 hours basis our ancestors told us. So this cycle is very simple. In the morning, you know that they say it is Kepara. So that's why we get the basis from the sun is rising. It's Kepara. It takes 6 hours in the middle. Our ancestors say it's rise at the highest. When it goes down, it's Adumra. When it's in the middle of the night, it's Amendra, the 4th position of the sun. How it travels, how we get our 24 hours basis. And then we move on to the one which is where we are. Now for the year, how the sun is spending a year moving. Same constellations now. We have spring, we have summer, we have also autumn, we have winter. Making that way now how we mark our festival seasons. We have what we call the equator. Now I'll talk of a southern hemisphere because I live in a southern hemisphere. My new year in the southern hemisphere is within the time of September. When the sun is in the middle, in the spring equinox, when the day is where now we have the hours of darkness and the hours of light are equal. That is the spring equinox. What is spring equinox? It's the celestial point where we've got the celestial path and also the celestial equator where they meet. They meet at the point and then they mark a new year. That happens to us in the southern hemisphere during September. That is when the constellation, the sun was in the northern hemisphere for past 6 months. So when it's September, it starts to pass over to the southern hemisphere. We've marked the first season. We call it as a spring season. And then it moves for 3 months. September, October, November. It goes to the highest point. We call it a summer solstice. That is where we want to explain now what is happening from the equator. When the sun is moving now, it's moving like a snake, making a wave. When it's come now to the Tropic of Capricorn, the name tropic, it means it's turning, it's changing. 22, 23, 24 December, the sun is standing still in the Tropic of Capricorn. That's why I say summer solstice. When it's standing still on the 25 December, it makes a 1 point up, 1 degree up, changing now, making a turn, because it cannot go further above the Tropic of Capricorn. It must make a turn. now facing the way now going to the northwards. And then the people of the northern hemisphere, because the sun is far away from them, they say it's a rebirth of the sun. So that's the basis of a Christmas. When the sun is turning over, when the sun is in the Tropic of Capricorn. Now we're explaining in terms of two calendars, a Gregorian calendar and a Julian calendar. But I want to explain the movement of the sun. And it is it is now in what we call the January. The sun now is already made a turn. It's pointing now to the equator. By March, it will be there 21st March. Then that is when now it will cross over to the northern hemisphere. It will mark our autumn. So our seasons already, we've got the spring in September, we've got the summer in December, we've got autumn already when the sun is passing over in March. When it passes over in autumn, it's when the people of the northern hemisphere, they experience their spring equinox. We experience our autumn, the fall. The trees and the grass, they are turning to turn now. So that is the basis of a calendar. I'm trying to explain to say what festivals the people are explaining. I'm trying to make a difference between a new year and a festival and a festive. Because our people, they are making a festive season. When we say compliments of a new season, the seasons are four. It's spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So now we're in a summer season. But summer season in the southern hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere, they are experiencing the winter season, the winter solstice. So I'm trying to introduce my teacher. Will find a way, trying to explain the path of the sun on a daily basis, on a yearly basis. He will put us now more on a 25-year cycle, 25,000-year cycle, and the ages, because we need to explain to our people that Haile Selassie is the God of all ages. So we're living now, the teacher said, we're in the age of Aquarius. So we need to explain to our people what is an age. The sun is spending 2,160 in each constellation. So as we say now is the age of Aquarius. When is spring equinox? We're saying when is spring equinox, in the morning you look in the east, the stars that are rising in the background before the rising of the sun are the stars of Aquarius. So we say it's the age of Aquarius. Before it was the age of Pisces. The age of Pisces started in 160 BC and it ended in 2000 BC. In 2018. Sorry for that. So now, as now we've passed the age of Pisces, we're in the age of Aquarius. Ampara Haile Selassie is sitting upon the throne because Christ came in creation in many characters in different ages. But he came as a character as a prophet, he came as a character as a priest, he came as a character as a king. So in this time, Emperor Haile Selassie, 1892, he came on earth in his kingly character, not in his priestly character, not in his prophetical character, in his kingly character. We're told now of the four holy beasts. So when now they say to us, the symbol of the four holy beasts, their signs is the symbol of a lion, the face of a lion, the face of a man, the face of an ox, and the face of an eagle. Those four holy beasts are the four fixed signs in the 12th constellation. That is where Emperor Haile Selassie is ruling in those constellations as the king, in the constellation of Aquarius, in the constellation of Leo, in the constellation of Taurus, in the constellation also of Scorpio, the one they call it an eagle. Right now we're coming from the age of Pisces, represented by the two fishes. So our aim is to explain the 7th of January. Why we explained the others are experiencing on the 7th, others on the 25th. So our people need also to know that a year, it's a 12 months. It begins in September for people in the southern hemisphere. For the people in the northern hemisphere, it begins in what is called it's March. What they call Easter. It's like it's east. You look in the east for a star when it's crossing over. It's crossing over for the people of the northern hemisphere in March. It's their Easter. Our Easter in the southern hemisphere is in September. As I now we say, it's a return of a sun. So can I kindly give my teacher maybe continue the procession of the equinoxes and also be in a position to explain the 7th January, Gregor and the Julian, but we're trying to make things simpler, to make a difference between a year and a festive and a season itself. Give thanks and praises, my teacher.
Teacher.
Love and life.
Yes, teacher.
Thanks, my Lord.
7th of January.
You know, it's important what the ancient is elucidating there.
Yes.
The point is that time is measured based on the movements of the heavenly bodies.
Yes, teacher.
Meaning these orbs that are able to wander in the night sky.
Yeah.
Those are the ones then that we need to look at to be able to tell what time it is. So the calendar, as you see it on the wall, is supposed to be married to the movement of the heavenly bodies.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that is not as it should be.
Yes.
Because what we are seeing is that the reason you have the Julian and the Gregorian calendar is that someone at some point realized that the calendar as written on the wall seems to be out of sync with the movement of the heavenly bodies. So to bring it up to speed, then corrections needed to be made.
Yes.
These happened in several moments in time. Well, we'll need to go back to the works of Ptolemy because he now is the one who is seen as the arch.
Right.
To say, when we have to think about calendars and the measurement of time,
Yes.
who are the go-to people? Claudius Ptolemy would have been a Greco-Egyptian astronomer, astrologer, you know, when it was not taboo to be both astronomer and astrologer at the same time.
Right.
Important then is that already in the 1st century AD, he is amongst the first reference points. These are the people who would have been connected with the Kemetic tradition. So the calendars would have been informed by the Kemetic root,
Yes.
which means that there was a Sothic root to it. Now, Sothis is Sirius as we know it today, which is the star system now that the Dogon have made so famous.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So the point being that the measurement of time was married to the rise and the dipping of that star.
Right.
That's why the pyramids are aligned in the way that they have been. We are grateful to the works of Bokrem, Hancock, and Robert Boval. Those are the leading lights. I mean, really, for them to tell us and bring back that knowledge that says there is a first time that everyone has come to know as Zep Tepi. But that whole Zep Tepi means that there is a measurement of time that goes beyond just the day and the year, which in itself is measured in years. And that's how now you hear people speaking about the age of Aquarius. Now, understanding that means if there was an age of Aquarius, then there was an age of Pisces, and every other member of the zodiac gets their turn around the rainbow cycle throne to be identified with a particular age. Now, identifying and understanding that is really one of the things that brought the need for the change that came through in 1923 by a brother called Milutin Milokovic, who is now the scientist from Serbia, who brought on this knowledge that says, hey, the same way that they discovered in 1582 when Gregory was Pope, and they had to make a 10-day correction. Same way in 1923, those who were using the Julian calendar realized, wow, we are 13 days. There's a 13-day discrepancy that we need to cater for. So basically, the two calendars, it's not like in the Julian they're saying it's 7 Jan in the Gregorian calendar, but in their calendar is 25. It is exactly Christmas, 25 December.
Okay.
So in essence, there are two calendars that the Orthodox Church is working with. You know, based on the fact of the two moments that I'm talking about, the 1582 reformation that needed to happen to the calendar and the 1923 that was led by Milutin. But the point I'm trying to emphasize is that even for Milutin to get to understand that we are out of time, even in 1582, they had to look up into the heavens to tell exactly why is it that we seem to be not quite hitting the temporal notes as we should.
Yes.
So then the reformations or the revisions happen every time based on this idea that when we look at the heavenly bodies seem to be telling a different story from what the calendars are saying that have been written on the walls, so to speak.
Yes.
So understanding this then, there are three things that Milutin Milokovic spoke to. He said that there are three motions or movements that we need to be on top of to be able to understand why it is that we need to make the change. The three motions relate to the earth itself as an orb and how it moves.
Right.
So the eye spoke to two planes. He spoke about the ecliptic and he spoke about the celestial equator. So what you'll note is that this ball is not sitting upright. It's kind of tilted like this. So it's moving like this, where now that the path on which these orbs are moving is what we then call the ecliptic.
Right.
It's the King's Highway in a sense, where the sun is going to be moving.
Okay.
So when you get up in the morning and you look at the path of the sun, you will see that it rises in the east. It kind of moves northwards and then it sets in the west. That path is what we call the ecliptic, because that's where all the planets are going to run. If you have observed, you'll see that even the moon kind of moves on that same line. Jupiter, Mars, all the planets. So it becomes a highway.
Yes.
But to identify that highway, we need to, because there are still stars all around. Remember, we are in a galaxy of stars. But certain band of stars becomes very kind of stand out because they are in the background of this pathway. This is what we call the zodiac.
The zodiac.
That ecliptic path we identify based on these 12 stations, which are the 12 spokes of this wheel, that the wheel of wheels that Jeremiah and them have been talking about.
Okay.
So the point then is that understanding the path and how that movement affects time becomes the most fundamental thing, because if we sever the ties of the calendar that we have written on the wall, if it is severed from the movement of the astronomical figures that feature and make this thing time, then we are going to fall out of time every time. So in a sense then, the two calendars, the reason there's two is this falling out of time every time. And now you end up with two calendars. When each one is saying this is Christmas, actually, you know. The split then becomes influenced by politics in many ways, because you will see that the adoption of the Gregorian calendar has its own life, if you like, you know. Same way with the adoption of the revised Julian calendar of 1920, the Milutin Milokovic calendar, so to speak. So that's why now you have different, out of all the Orthodox churches, only half almost, you know, it's just split in between. Some celebrate still in 25 December, others have to work with the Gregorian 7th Jan, which is actually their calendar according to their calculation. So in essence then, the point then becomes there becomes a problem. We need then to be thinking more holistically about time.
Right.
In this way. In the same way that Milutin Milokovic has said, right? That there's a trinity in time, at every level. If you look at the day, there's a trinity because the day is made in hours, minutes, and seconds.
Yeah, Safari.
Yeah?
That's correct.
The year seems to follow the same pattern. That, you know, you've got, basically up to the day, you've got the month, the week, and the day. Right? Setting up now this thing that is made up as the year. But it seems that there's a third dimension to time. You see, which is what we are calling the great year, which then needs to have a similar configuration where it is made up of years Yes, but it's got also its own months, like how we can speak about months being 12 in the 1 year, like how we can speak about the hours being 12 times 2 in a day, as the eye has already elucidated. Then understanding that great year cycle
Yeah.
becomes important. That's why now Milokovic speaks about a precession of the equinoxes, which is what the eye was beginning to bring about now, to say there is that relation now. There are equinoxes and solstices.
Right.
And perhaps that's where the eye wants to come in.
Yes, and I give thanks my teacher for that. That's where I and I want to come in exactly. Because we want now to come into this cross, because we talk of now of the cardinal points. When we talk of the cardinal points, it's like somebody now we can have a model. You throw maybe a circle in a circle, within that side of circle you throw you make a cross. A cross is having on the left hand side east, on the bottom is south, on the right hand side is west, above it's north. So we know that we have now what you call the equinoxes and the summer solstice. So what we told the equinoxes, the name equinox, it means equal. The name when you say equinox, it means it's where now the light and darkness are equal. And that only happens twice. In the southern hemisphere, it's September. Northern hemisphere, it's in March. So it marks the beginning of a year. So that those equinoxes is the one that now we want to specify and tell it exactly. As the teacher now is talking of the precession of the equinoxes. Precession of the equinoxes, meaning that when you have Aries on the left-hand side, and then on the bottom you have Cancer, and then that is a cross we're talking about. We've got also Libra, and then on top we've got what we call Capricorn. So we're having a cross. That cross now, it's most important. It marks now for us when we can go what we can go now, we go to what we can in a Kemetic place where they say it's in Egypt. In 10,960 BC, when they were making the Sphinx and those 3 pyramids, they were actually freezing what was celestially, freezing it on the ground. What was happening there, that's why we'll have to explain this precession of equinoxes, where it starts. Because right now, when we count the year, we count from there. We say 10,160 plus 2024. That's how many years we have spent from that time until this time. So now we have ages there, as the teacher is saying. We're spending day and the years, but we're having ages. The precession of equinoxes, it's where now our ancients are saying the daily movement, it's anti-clockwise. The yearly movement is anti-clockwise. The great year is clockwise movement. So we're having this clock moving like this, but also moving anti-clockwise. How it is coming to be. When our people represented Sphinx with that animal like as Leo, they were telling us that in 10,500 BC, when they were looking in the east, they saw the rising of the constellation of Leo in the morning. So they mark that is an age of Leo. So that age of Leo, 10,960, because the age, we've got to explain this thing, what is an age in terms of numbers. We know that a day is 24 hours. And then we know that 7 days, they make a week, 4 weeks make a month.
Yeah.
We know that the 12 months make a year. That's how we want to calculate. Even 10 years make a decade.
Right.
100 years make a century.
Right.
So 1,000 years is a millennium. So any age, it's a 2,160 years. So that is what the sun is spending by being housed in the constellation of Leo. It spent 2,160. When we can use our calculator, we say now 10,160 minus 2,160, it gives us how many years? It's 8,000 and something. We move to the age of Cancer after that. From the age of Cancer, the sun also spent 2,160 on the age of a movement now, as we're moving from Leo to Cancer, and then we move to the Gemini, we move backward now, we move what we call now Taurus. It's where the people in Bible, they say Moses, they saw Moses when coming from the mountain, he saw Aaron making a form of a bull. So Aaron was marking the age of a Taurus. So after that age, it was an age of Aries. So now it was an age, also age of what we call now the age of Pisces. From the age of Pisces until today to the 7th house, starting from the house of Leo, we're in the 7th house, we're in the age of Aquarius.
Right.
So this precession of equinox is more important in Rastafari because of those 72 nations. Because it takes for 1 degree for that movement to happen of a precession of equinoxes 72 years to make a 1 degree.
Right.
So now for us, these degrees are 360 degrees to make a cycle.
Right.
So now 72 times 360 degrees give us 25,960. It's
Right.
when we spend what we call a great year.
Right.
So those precession of equinoxes right now, as we'll remember very well now, that on the eastern side, we're having the constellation of Aquarius representing the age that we're in. Remember very well that we're here about the Christmas, the 7th January, and the
Yes.
differences. But it was very great important to explain these things of having to say, we're having a day, we're having a year, we're
Yes.
having a great year.
Yes.
While we say now our God is a God of all ages, because that's why even the elders, when they sing musically, they say our God is a God of all ages. Even Marcus Garvey, they tell us, so we need to know which age are we in, and in which character is he in.
Okay.
And then the man who came in his kingly character, identifying times, because we mark times according to the one who is sent in each and every age. So now in this age of Aquarius, we were sent His Imperial Majesty in Ethiopia. Even though Africa was colonized by this colonizing from the Berlin Conference, Ethiopia was the only state which was not colonized, so it retained what was being happening in the past. So when they celebrate their New Year, they showed us they celebrate it in terms of what we call the 11th September.
Yes.
But now when they come to this way of Christmas cultural, we need to explain to our people, there is a cultural point of view.
Yes.
We've got to come to an understanding, especially you as mothers, you know these things. When a mother is going to have a child,
Yes.
for the first time, the people are not allowed to see that child. So they
Yes.
take a period of 12 days. So when you count from 25,
Yeah.
adding those 12 days, it leads to the 7th or 6th of January. It's when the people, now the child can be exposed to the people. Hence the celebration of the Ethiopians are on that culture of saying, you cannot see my child when he's still born young. There are secrets which are there, which must be done, rituals. You can only come and see my child on the 7th, that it is what we call January. But at that time, that's why we want to make a difference between a year. The Ethiopians, they explain, they celebrate their New Year in September.
Yes.
But you'll see that when it's January, there's another alignment, celestial, as my teacher has said. Because we see ourselves, what the people are celebrating when Julius Caesar, what he has done, we need to also put and explain that. The Romans were not having a calendar that was having 12 months. They were having a 10-month calendar. So when they came now to be passed from Romulus, because these empires is where we're told in Daniel, we're having different empires. There will be empire from the Persia, from Babylon, Persia, Roman Empire, Greek Empire. There was a time when it was the empire of the Romans. So the Romans, what they did, we as an African people, we do not mention the names of the month with the people. We mention the names of the month with what is happening. So when Julius Caesar and Augustus Emperor put their names within the calendar, they didn't only do that. They have another Janus. There's a god in Roman they call Janus, the god of the beginnings. Because they so loved that god. When Roman took over, Julius Caesar took over everything in celebration of Janus. He said, now the new year will no longer be now where it was. When it is spring equinox. In honoring Janus, he said now, because now we're adding January to our 11th month and our 12th month to be the February. So the year now will begin in what? In Janus. That's how our people, but he knew a secret because he was a man who was wise, Julius Caesar. He knew that on that day where he put the say it's a new year, On earth, what is happening? We are having alignment of a Sirius, as Elder has said, that there's a star. We call it Unomkhubulwane in our own languages. But the Greeks, they call it Isis. But we call it Sobdet. That star, when it's on the first day, on the first, second, and third day, what is happening on that day? We have what we call a perihelion, where now the earth and the sun, they are closer. There's a time when earth and the sun, they are far apart. There's a time whereby the earth and the sun, they're a little bit close. It happened in January. Judas Caesar was aware of that. And that's where he picked up that day, which our people used to celebrate. Say, now we'll put this god Janus to be celebrated and mark the new beginnings. Because now we're in our 4th month of the year from September. And the people of the Northern Hemisphere, to mark that, they mark their time about in March. We can calculate from March. March, the first month, it's March, April, May, June, July, August, September. September means 7. October means 8. November means 9. December means 10. So they are in their 10th month or 11th month trying to make their cycle, because you must make a cycle of a year. You cannot have a 4 months in September, you have a new year. January, never another new year. You are covering now 3 months or 4 months. You must cover 12 months to make this a cycle of a year. For the cycle of a year, people of the Northern Hemisphere start in March, they cover it by the end of February, they start their own. So even our cycle right now, we're in our 4th month. As we're in our 4th month, now what is happening? The sun, being in the Tropic of Capricorn, it's very important our people to know, because our people, they realize and notice that. So now we need to talk this to say, the sun is not actually the creator, but the sun is a symbol of showing us what is behind the creator. So the sun is the thing that manifests for us the energy and the power of the creator, and how the creator is using this energy. The most important days which are important to the creator, it's when the sun turns, and it turns for us in 25 December, Tropic of Capricorn, and then also in 21 June when they have a summer solstice in the what we call the Northern Hemisphere, it's also turned the Tropic of Cancer. But coming back to our own discussion, having this precession of equinoxes being explained, and now coming to his Emperor Haile Selassie I, because the Ethiopians, they were known to be the people who taught the Egyptians, because the Egyptians are the children of the Ethiopians. The Ethiopians, when they celebrate everything, they celebrate with an intention of restoring what was.
Okay.
So in restoring what was, we need to recognize the power and the energies, because on 25 December, the power and the energies, it's only the turning of the sun on the Tropic of Capricorn. But in January, it's about the distance between the earth and the sun. It happens also in July when the earth and the sun, they are a little bit apart. But in January, it's most important. It's why I want to introduce my elder, where now we introduce the calendar of Inzalo Elanga. Here in Southern Africa, in Mpumalanga, we're having one of the great calendars that can mark for us the summer solstice and the equinoxes. That is the model that they build the calendar of the Egyptians within the Kemetic structures. But it corresponds with us here in Southern Hemisphere. Why I say so? Right now in the Southern Hemisphere, this is the time of the month the kings are in seclusion. They are celebrating the celebration of the first fruits, or Rumkoswe Kweshwam, or the festival of the Calabash, where now we witness our kings and our people, they witness when does a fruit like a calabash become ripe. By the time of January, it become ripe, corresponding with the Ethiopians, because they are using not the Northern Hemisphere calendar, they are using the Southern Hemisphere calendar, representing the seeds that we planted in September. By October, November, they ripe. Before the people, they can taste any fruits, the first person to touch those fruits is the king. When the king can smash that calabash and tell the people, now we can start to taste the first fruits. That is how we sell it. We make a relationship between the Ethiopian, what you call Ethiopian Christmas, and Umkhosi Wokushwama, making sure that the people in the northern hemisphere, they took the culture from the southern hemisphere, because the flow of the Nile River, remember, I told about the Nile River, that when the people were freezing the constellation of Leo, making sphinx, remember what is there, the 3 Orion belts, the 3 pyramids is what you see on the right-hand side of the river. The Milky Way, celestially, terrestrially, is the River Nile. So our people need to understand that. So our civilization, it never started up in the north. It started here. I mean, there in the north, it started here. The actual Egypt, the people they're talking about, it's here in the southern hemisphere. The first civilization started here in Phoenix, in Durban, the source of a river Nile. It moved that source of a river Nile to where it's in Zaloyelang, where our ancients, they made the calendar. That line moves also already. It moves to where our people, they put the Great Zimbabwe, the same line. That line is corresponding with the Milky Way, because our ancestors, they are telling us when they made life, it was the Milky Way and the River Nile. When they separated, then life was, the first people to move was in the River Nile, from the southern part of this continent. Then they moved from the Great Zimbabwe, that's the civilization of our people moving to Congo. Meanwhile, the River Nile underneath in the southern hemisphere is moving underground. It comes to Congo. It moves also. That is where now they made their Z-tip, as my teacher said, the Z-tip, the first time of the people of the civilization of the Kemetic people, when they made that civilization. Now they were resembling what was in Zaloyelang, what was built in their top in Egypt. It was a resemblance. The very same people were moving up. So it's the very same people who were in the southern hemisphere to Abba Congo. That is why when you come to reggae music, they say, oh, they tell of a Congo eye, dreadlock eye. Those are the people who were moving with that civilization through Congo. Because all of us now must have that culture, that civilization. But coming to Kemet, it's where now when all the people were coming to Kemet, they told them Pythagoras, Newton, all of them are our students. But they did find us having built that thing in Kemet. Being now civilization started here. So when we come to celebrate this January, coming to celebrate this Christmas, coming to celebrate Umkhosi Wokushwama, coming to celebrate the first fruits, it's one in line with what is in the celestials, as the teacher have said before, to say these orbs, it will be very crucial for me to say now, make an example like Naimara, to say, when now in our sky in the southern hemisphere, we have those 7 stars, we call them Isilimela. They are telling me what to do. If I don't correspond, what is above is what is below. There's a law of correspondence. The northern hemisphere calendar is put us out of creation, because we want to follow what my teacher has already said. As they put these calendars, after some time, they find to say they've gone out of time. Remember, they've said, Daniel, their main intention, the Romans, is to put us out of time. And when African people are out of time, nothing is going to happen to them. Because we're the people that were created to operate with time. The sun, when it's coming to us in September, is going to make our chakras in our body in the southern hemisphere, making our body to be renewed, to be revived. So when it comes to December 25, remember, the sun is on the highest point now. Remember, in spring equinox, it's low, it's like morning when it's spring equinox, on a daily basis, Now, when it's come to the highest point, our people culturally, that's why in Swaziland, when you go now, or in KwaZulu, you'll find the king is the one who's the king in KwaZulu. You cannot find him now. He's in seclusion. Even they are pointing to the sun with the spear, giving it a direction, making sure that the celebration that is in Kemet, it's in Ethiopia, because the ancient people who are in Ethiopia, they know very well about the relationship of these festivals, because it's about the festival of a new season. That's why when I greet you, I say compliments of the new season. So it is the king within the southern hemisphere and the king in the northern hemisphere. We give thanks to the Ethiopians for giving us, for keeping time, because we're not going to be in time. In celebrating in 25, I can say celestial is not enough. We need to put our people to be in identification with the 7th January, because that is the position, because the sun, it represents the creator. That is the position when the creator, that noise people are making with the crackers, saying it's a new year. In ancient time, it was a celebration, highly divine celebration, going with the kings. But Julius Caesar stole that moment and put it to the Romans and make it a new year. Give thanks.
Wow.
You can just make it a little
We
bit,
give
my teacher.
thanks. Oh,
for
wow.
a little bit, Rastafari.
Interesting. This reminds me of the first topic that we had for Enkutatash.
Yes.
So it means that doesn't matter what celebrations we have to look at the stars' alignment
We
with
have
certain
to.
features on
We have
Earth.
to.
And now it's so interesting to know that the Nile River is in line with the Milky Way.
That's how it is.
Amazing.
Yes.
This is where the Dogons come in place again, the star reading and
The
stuff.
ancient
Amazing.
traditions, you know, ancient traditions.
So now, in Ethiopia, so the 7th of January, they're celebrating this Malcolm Gena, right? Is this the day that Christ was born?
Essentially, culturally, that's what it is. Religiously, that's what it is. What I and I are bringing now is to say there's a root to that goes even deeper than just the how
birth.
it dresses it dresses itself up in the religion and the culture,
Okay.
because it has to do with the movement of energy on the planet.
Rastafari.
Oh,
You
right.
understand? So that's the root of it. The point there being that's why the eye is talking about the snake,
Yes,
right.
which is basically a sine curve. If you were to
Yes.
map the rise, peak, set, and trough of the sun,
Right.
you'll see that you map out a sine curve,
Right.
which can be seen as a snake, which is just how the
Okay.
ancients used to work.
Okay.
The imagery of a snake is that of the wave.
Okay.
So this wave, basically it says that there are 4 critical points
Rastafari.
that we need to be alert to.
Yes, yes.
These manifest in the day as they are manifest in the year. But as we have said, because there's a bigger cycle, they manifest in that 3rd cycle as well, which is the great year cycle. And we say that those moments are simply sunrise within the daily cycle,
Right.
sunrise, midday, sunset, midnight. Those are the 4 critical moments
Okay.
in the day.
Okay.
Why those are the critical moments is because they are sitting as 2 pairs now, where it's the peak and the trough as one pair, and the moments of transition, whether it's ascending or descending.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So those ascending and descending points, then we call them equinoxes. Because
Right.
what happens is that if you will notice, just like you have it in the day, we're saying the year is the same way, where you got 4 moments in the year again that are critical in the sense of map 1-to-1 with those 4 moments in the day.
Okay.
Which moments are those? The spring sunrise moment,
Yeah.
the midday summer solstice moment.
Right.
On the west, where the sun sets in the
Yes.
day, then in the year, you've got that as your autumn
Right.
equinox.
Okay.
And then you get to winter.
Right.
The key moment then is another solstice, the winter solstice.
Yes,
So
yes,
you've got
yes.
4 critical moments in the year,
Yes.
same
Yes.
way. Now, understanding that becomes the basis of knowing that within this tropical alignment, because it's tropical because it has to do with the equinoxes, to say the sun is rising, peaking, setting, cresting.
Right.
And it
right.
repeats that cycle
Okay.
literally forever, for as long as time allows it, for as long as the one who sent it forth
Okay.
will let it
Right.
run that
right.
marathon.
Right.
Key then is this, that the peak moment
Right.
is what has come to
Rastafari.
align with these moments of Christmas.
Give thanks, teacher.
Do you
Okay.
hear? When the
Energy.
energy has peaked, at the peak moment of the wave,
All right.
this is where Christmas falls.
Right.
Now, that in terms of what I was saying about the tropics now
Rastafari.
becomes an important thing, because if you are thinking of two bends where this thing goes up and down like that, then it peaks at some moment and it troughs at certain.
Yeah.
It means
Right.
in between it is at this equilibration point.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
equinox now means equal nights. Nox is night,
Night.
which means that there are moments in the year where the day or the light is as long as the darkness. But it's not always like that. There are times where the day is longer than the darkness,
Yes.
and vice versa. So
Yes.
to align it then, just to make a correspondence, winters,
Yes.
there's more darkness than there's more light in the summer.
Rastafari.
So those winter and summer seasons
Yeah.
have these solstice moments then, where sol and stis,
Yes.
sol is the sun,
Sun.
stis is still, standing still.
My Lord.
Right.
So they say the sun stands still. In the culture, when we grow up, they say to us, come out on Christmas Day, come
Yeah,
check out
dancing.
the sun dance, because from the
right.
time of, because they say that it stands still for those 3 days and then it picks up again, it goes
My Lord.
after the solstice.
Rastafari.
So, it becomes like a cultural thing to say, oh, no, I've never seen the sun dance, really. In actual fact, you will not see it dance. But it is a way of saying, after it had stood still, it
Rastafari.
is taking on now on its journey, it's going back where it started.
Okay.
So then the peak moments then, these summer solstice moments, remember it's about energy. So there are auspicious moments for channeling energies,
Yes, sir.
in simple terms.
Okay.
This is really the science behind it now. Spiritual cultivation and soul distillation, because the soul and the spirit come together as this individual, that is this duality that is self and person.
Okay.
So there are moments when the person is stronger than the self.
Rastafari.
But in the equinoxes, there's balance. This is the perfect moment.
True,
So
my
in
teacher.
the ancient Kemetic tradition,
Yes,
we speak
teacher.
about Nekebet and Wajet.
Yes.
They say that this is the moment when these two snakes are in
Intertwined.
balance within the
Rastafari.
spirit of the human being.
Okay.
Spirituality, my teacher.
So then
Enlightenment.
It's about
Yes,
this
I-
cultivation then, to say what is the best moment to do what. You know what I mean? There's introversion and extroversion. So
Okay.
introversion moments are the winter moments.
Rastafari.
Yes.
So the summer moments, that's when we
Wanna come out.
extrovert, we come out.
Yes.
My
And
Lord.
that's how now the movement of the heavenly bodies become important, because
Okay.
in the cultures then, we know we mark this based on the rising and setting of these heavenly bodies.
Okay.
You see
My
what I mean?
Lord.
So now, yes. Okay. So it's the energy. It's more about the energy
about-
for this. So these 4 points is really important for us on this day, 7th January,
Absolutely.
right? So now,
Rastafari.
so maybe you can explain to me, is this why the Ethiopians fast 40 days before this 7th of January? So they abstain from eating meat, eggs, and any other dairy, right?
Absolutely.
So what does the fasting really have to do with everything?
My mother, this is very most important. But before we come that, you need to explain this.
Okay.
Because now fasting, it's related to something else. To this what I'm explaining, I'll come to fasting. Our people have been robbed. You see, when I'm with my teacher, we need to explain these things. When we talk of Ra in ancient time, we talk of a matter and energy. That's what when we talk of the spirit. Because now we talk of a supreme being. That supreme being is having a spirit and a soul. Our people used to call the spirit of a supreme being Ra, the soul of a supreme being Ka. So now it's a movement in beginning when Ra was moving within the Ka, that vibration of extracting and its contraction, it expands. That is a movement. Now, when Ra is moving within flesh, our ancients, as we say now, when the spirit is in your body, you say God in flesh. When Ra is moving in flesh, you say it's Afura. So now when Afura, Ra in flesh, is coming with that Ka, now is Afura Ka. That's where the complication of celestial comes to be. So those energies, fasting, it comes there. Because now we have these energies. Remember, light is divine. That's why we love Haile Selassie. I've never seen such a man who's been so clean. So meaning that to be clean is a man who knew very well what is the importance of fasting. To be clean, when the sun, those critical moments are coming to us, those 4 cardinal points, when are being activated at the portal points, we come into connection with creation. We come into connection with the universe. We come into connection with everything. So when you are unclean, you're doing it in vain. That is why we say it was the intention of them, the colonizers, changing, because when they found us here, they found us celebrating these things. So they changed them, making people to be drunk, people now to be glutton, not knowing what to do. This is hitting us very well because we cannot do that at that moment. Why do they choose that moment? Is to fight against our spirituality, is to fight against our culture. So it's very important what the Ethiopians are doing, so that you can judge for yourself. No meat, no what, showing that how important it is, this coming together of yourself and the Creator, because we're always coming to the closer together on those 4 ways, especially this one, because we have Sun, Kepera, we have Ra, we have Atumra, we have Amenra. But when it's Ra, it means those energies, they must find us being prepared. We clean our bodies, not only our minds. There must be no more grudges. We're entering a period. When I come to you, I say compliments of a new season. It must be compliments of a new season, exactly. Spiritually within ourselves, even the people that we used to meet with before, we were having grudges, whatever. Because of that fasting, it pushes the nations to go more. It's a way of moving our nation in righteousness. Because we cannot go in righteousness when we come to those moments, those 4 critical moments. Because mind you, the sun, it represents our Creator. The energies that the sun is giving to the universe to sustain ourselves for photosynthesis and all for the rays. Now think behind when you are meeting your Creator. You've got to be clean.
Yes.
Fasting is most important.
Yes.
Give thanks.
We
And
give
the fire
thanks.
is for the purification.
Yes.
No other way.
Say the Rasta man
This
say.
fasting,
Rastafari.
very
At the
serious.
at peak moment time, you do need to be clean. I think there's something that we need to remember, and it comes back to this idea of the calendars, and how somehow ever so often they find themselves out of time. Often it's about balancing the energies,
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the whole mantra really in life, because the whole thing. So here's an example now. Why is it that Paseka or Pascha,
Awesome.
as the Orthodox Church call it, why does it come on different dates, and yet Christmas comes on the same date? That is a very, once we realize that there's the problem, that's where the problem is.
Yes.
And that's precisely where the problem is, because Pascha or Paseka
My Lord.
is balanced with the moon
My Lord.
for a tropical calendar that the Gregorian and the Julian calendars are. You need to balance that with the lunar cycles, because it is about the cycles,
Yes.
The whole thing about the tropical year is that it's not exactly the same range and whip as when we count the moons, same way as what we have called the sidereal time,
Yeah.
Rastafari.
which is time measured using the stars. So those discrepancies, they are not explicitly put into our calendars. That's why we will wake up one day and find out that we are out of time ever so often.
real.
But if it was built into and hardwired into the very calculation to say the great year, the position of the sun is stipulated very precisely at every moment of its movement.
Yes.
Then we will not wake up and find that anomaly in place.
My father. Yes.
Important then is that Paseka is the first full moon after the
Spring
equinox.
Yes. Father.
Okay.
Shouldn't that be the same thing?
Yes.
For all the other three, because we said there are
Balance.
4 critical moments.
Yes,
exactly.
Because then we are working with this tropical sun-based solar calendar, so to speak. Then the only way we can equilibrate it and make sure that the energies are balanced is to factor in the movements of the moon. After all, that is the true balance in creation that we know. You know, for every male, there's a female.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And His Majesty really show I and I
Right.
with his coronation. You know, first time that we see a king crowned with his queen, same
Yes.
day, on the same podium.
Yes.
You know,
Rastafari.
just to say to us, the energies of Aquarius are coming thick and fast. You know, and those are feminine energies that understand congregation, you know, nurture,
Mother mind,
and
my teacher.
growth, you know, and the cycles, because the cycles are anything that's curved and secular is feminine.
Feminine, my father.
You know what I mean? So the point is that when the feminine aspect that has been so long been put aside
Yes.
begins to rise,
Like
it stands
it.
us in good stead. You know, as because even as we are sons not of our fathers only, but of our mothers too.
9
You know,
months
so
within
the
the womb of a
balance
woman. Yes,
then
I am.
that comes with factoring in the cycles of the moon is
Right.
what is the first step we need to make. You know, that way we will not have 2 calendars that are
Right.
claiming to be saying the same thing,
Right.
because we will connect that tropical cycle
father.
to the lunar cycle, and then maybe they will say something that is a little bit more closer to the truth.
Right.
And then only once we have developed our knowledge to the levels where we can take the precession of the equinoxes as a key third dimension to the calculation of time, then only are we able to speak to these construction of these calendars now.
Right.
That will allow us to say, okay, it's the age of Aquarius. What does that mean? in
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy
Yes.
soul.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? So, but briefly, just to highlight this idea, look on June 21 on the eastern horizon, just before sunrise. What star system is there? Because June 21 is your solstice.
Rastafari.
Now we get December 21 right now, which takes us to December
Higher
25,
heights.
right?
Rastafari.
So this is where the dates that were marked and
Right.
fixed, you know. So my point is, maybe it's not so much about fixing them. We just follow the heavenly bodies. Let them tell us what time
Firmament,
it
you
There's
is.
nothing to fix.
There's
Everything's still
nothing
the
to-
same.
There you go. Yes,
Right? It's just
100%.
calendars that come and people with their own systems
With
and
their own
cause that.
fixations, you know, because we are all fixated on something for real,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
whether it is religious, cultural, or otherwise.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that is why now it becomes important for Rastafari to give us the entire rainbow and say it's the entire red, gold, and green.
Yes,
My
There's
Lord.
no
yes,
separation. You
Yes.
can see
One.
that it's got parts, but it's only there's one. Like
Ne?
how Jah is one. You know?
Same? Yes.
So the holistic view then becomes important to say we have to look at the whole, understand the parts and where
Yes,
they are
yes, yes.
located.
Mother
their
mind.
roles,
Yes, I am.
You know, without separating one and not having one or belittling the role of the
Yes,
other. You know,
yes.
each and every one has a role to play around the rainbow
Yes,
cycle.
at the end of the day. Yes, yes.
Blessed Lord.
Brings me to my question, Elder.
Yes, mother.
How do we connect? Is there a connection between Rastafari and the Ethiopian Christmas, which is Malcolm Gena? Is there a connection?
A bigger one, I. That is why we say that connection on its own is celestial one, mother. And then it make us to come and realize who we are. Let the people remember when we sang Nkosi Sikelel Africa what we meant. Our people, they knew by the birth of that man, Emperor Haile Selassie, there was a lot of drought. When he came out, the first thing was lightning and thunder. So this celebration of Ethiopian Christmas, making I as a Rastafari. Let me talk of I. Because when I talk of I, people will understand because there's no separation in I.
Yes.
It's I and I. All the denominations, the faiths that are under here on earth, they know very well that there's a new name that they must call. And that new name is the name of Rastafari. We know it's terrible and dreadful in the heart of each and everyone. But let's check the flag as the eye is saying. The flag is having a line of Judah, is having a cross, is having those fixed signs. So for us as African people to come to be free, because this is not our birthright, our spiritual right as spiritual beings. Because now, remember, we have not been prepared to come to this age. Our father said we must become something that we have never been. We must become the members of a new race. In becoming the members of the new race, the celestial bodies are more important. That is why even in our Ethiopian they say, as long as the sun and the moon endure through all generations. So this is going to stand. So I want to support my elder, my teacher, when we talk of balance, when we talk of a full moon, because the full moon is a reflection of the sun rays coming through. Without the moon, we're going to burn all of us on earth. As the mother is holding all the energy from the moon and supply it to us as the children on earth. So this is a way of this Christmas also. Because as physical, we're eating physical food.
Yes.
But there's a spiritual food which is coming when we're in these portals, when we're in this alignment, when we're in these things which our people, they call to say, are the divine holidays. Those divine holidays, we need to bring them back. Because when we make fire key, we're making what we are now corresponding to the nature. As the Rastaman is beating a drum, he's taking my spirit out of this body to align it to the higher heights. You know, like a vortex. You know, when they make fire key, how they make those wood. It means they're symbolizing a vortex. When I make that fire, immediately when I burn that fire, being in a position, I was in fasting for a period of 40 days. When I come to that fire, really, I must go out of this earth. I must align with the universe. The elements of creation, they must be under me because we're given dominion in creation through those portals to use them. So the Rastafari community, in not realizing and recognizing that they are the main problem because we have been given instruments by the Creator, but we are not using them as the Creator said we must use them. Because to make a vortex, it means you are the cleanest person. You know, to come and make fire and burn fire and say peace and names and sing for 7 days. Mind you, the number 7, 7 seals, 7 days. You know, 7 sisters. So when we come out of that, I'm definitely sure we're going to beat in Bingi drums, not for another 400 years. One day Babylon fall. Because we'll all be communicating to celestial bodies. Mind you, the people of the West have stolen our birthright through the stars. The people born 23 September to October, their star sign is not Libra, is Aries. So they've made opposite. So within the Rastafari family, being 12 tribes, aligning ourselves with celestial bodies, we need to come back to the teachings of my teacher, Papa Eko, to know, to understand that what are we doing? When I beat a drum, I smoke ganja, I dance, I make fire, then something must happen. It must not be like a churchical denomination. It must be a Nyayabingi move where the elements of creation are under our influence at that time, because we are not what we are human beings at that time. We are part of the celestial. Hence, Ethiopian Christmas is a very important symbol for us. If our people can realize, not only because we're not discriminating,
Yes.
not only for Rastafari community, for every human light, for every human being that exists under the sun, we've got to realize and recognize we all one duty. We fast, and then we face the cardinal points,
Yes.
and then our Africa will come home. There's nobody who's holding our Africa or an America. These people have no power over us. It's us not knowing how to use our own tools that were given by the Creator to get what we want. And one of them is those festivals we're doing,
Yes.
like a Christmas, like a New Year. Like my teacher is saying now, when we can come to balance, because sun is the father, the moon is the mother. And in each and every home, wherever you are, if there is no mother, in our culture, we don't say the umuzi city indlu. In other words, when there is no mother, so a Rastafari community have excluded the powers of mother. Mothers by birth were born by them, we stay in them for 9 months, we get all our being from our wombs of our mothers. So now, if in these festivals, they can be given a go-ahead, because you remember when you come to Hathor, the mother of creation, he's having another instrument. When the being woman and sisters, they are making those shakes. They have a long history, ancient one, to show it is not like given to a man. It will be given to a woman, symbolizing the powers and the communication the woman have with the
Verse.
So we need to give them that part, to play that part. So that is why I agree with my teacher. We need to bring back the mother mind. And the mother mind is to recognize when you celebrate, maybe like in South Africa, we celebrate a Passover. We need to be a spring equinox, but it must be a full moon, making balance in creation, making sure that even Emperor Haile Selassie, because other people, they take Emperor Haile Selassie, as they see in the pictures, is right inside you. That power, that force, that energy is living. Is that energy, or say, let us respect that energy. It can heal you. It can teach you. It can make you to be conscious. By the way, my teacher, another one of ages, but we shall explain it well, because now we're coming to light. We've been in darkness for many years. As we come to light and not recognizing the power and the energy that we have within you, when we approach these days, really, really, my teacher, fasting is needed.
Oh, yes.
Give thanks.
Yes, we give thanks, my teacher.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so the feminine energy and the feminine powers. So basically what? We are crying out for our mothers, our sisters, our daughters.
Truly.
To make this fire you are talking about
Rastafari.
in this
Yes.
shape,
Vortex.
so that we can be cleansed.
No other way.
There's no other way. Wow, amazing.
Blessed indeed. And I think the age of Aquarius,
Yes.
which is dawning right now,
Uh-huh.
is going to teach us more about that,
The age of Aquarius.
Yes. And we've been waiting for this moment for literally 13,000 years.
Right.
Oh, it's long time.
Yes, because as the
Half a
ayah
cycle.
said, an
Right.
age is 2,160 years. So there have been 6 of these when we count from the age of Leo.
Rastafari.
So when you add that up, that's almost 13,000 years. But the last 2,000 years have been difficult, for humankind.
Darkness.
The human spirit has been under attack. You can see from apartheid,
Yep.
and colonialism.
Yeah.
Yes. the tripartite evil that was unleashed,
Yes.
you know, on the human spirit.
Yes.
We are coming out of that, you know. So we are coming in from the cold, as Bob Marley
Yes.
said, you know, where it was dark and very cold. And now as the sun comes out and we can see the
Rastafari.
light, it's going to be
Yes.
important to gravitate to the light.
Stand up.
So, and that's really what this awakening is about, you know.
Yes, sir.
Coming to recognize that there's a scientific basis to this thing.
Yes.
So when we say righteousness,
Yes.
there was a scientific reason why we say right.
Yes.
Like how today we say light, you know, and we say you have to fast. You have to be light.
Yes.
You cannot be heavy in the flesh.
Yes.
You know, you have to have a light heart
Yes.
to enter the pearly gates. And
Yes.
the pearly gates, we are here on earth now
Yes.
with the scientific knowledge that is returning,
Yes.
Rastafari.
that will remind us and be able to do these things again. The pyramids are going to be reactivated. As
Wow.
this knowledge increases, we are going back to 0 point energy and all of that. So that comes with knowledge. So as Bob
Rastafari.
Marley said in Top Ranking there, or what is that song? Ride Nati.
All right, not right.
Yes,
Yeah,
he said that
umazin no
in this
mupidifa.
time, we're going to have to move towards knowledge.
Yeah.
To know
Yes.
instead of believing.
Beyond
Can't
belief.
know.
You
Yes.
know,
That age has
because
come and passed.
that's correct.
Yes.
So that's why we are saying that it's going to be important to sift through and go deeper into the underlying structures that inform even the religion, that inform the very culture.
Yes.
Because, you know, as Rastas, we have had to kind of push against the tide. When we say we're not even going to slaughter, and people say, how are you going to even cleanse your sins? And we say to them, it is not the complete truth to say that without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sin.
Rastafari.
There are ways that sit beyond that.
Yes.
Higher heights.
Higher
Yes.
heights, you
Yes.
know. These are the things we're going to reactivate. That's why as Rastas, we are here even before the age of Aquarius has dawned,
Same.
to reactivate these portals and channels that allow for this energy to flow without
Amen.
having to shed blood.
Same.
You see that kind of a thing. So it is elevating beyond the mundane, everyday 9 to 5 hustle and bustle.
Rastafari.
You know, knock forward kind
Yes.
life is coming at you.
Yes.
You know, to be able to say we can shape this thing
Yes.
with knowledge and understanding, because the key is in understanding the movement of energy in space. You know, the very movement of the orbs. You know, why is it that His Majesty carries an orb and a scepter in his hands?
Repeat
He's
it again,
showing
my
you
brother. That my
that
teacher repeated that one.
I have the power to make these things
Yes.
stop in or move or
King of
stand
the
still,
universe.
Yes.
you know. So it is when we tap into that knowledge, you know,
Yes.
that we are able to revive,
Yes.
restore
Yes.
the greatness that has been
We give
Africa.
thanks. My
Blessed
brothers,
love.
we give thanks.
Rastafari.
Yes. And
It's
then
us who give thanks.
there's one thing that the brother said is that civilization started down here in the south.
Yes, that is
And then
true.
we moved up with the Milky Way
yes.
and the Nile River that's under the ground.
yes.
And then we get to Congo.
Yes.
And then we got to Kemet,
Yes.
where we started now the whole thing.
The extroversion of it. Yes,
See?
when we set it up for the world, for the salvation of the world.
Yes.
Yes, because this knowledge is not to be consumed only by one corner of the world.
Just listening to you guys, it's like I realized that as a people, we have a lot of work to do.
Sure.
We have a lot
Definitely.
of learning to do, because you can't just get up and say, I know it and I am going to be that light or in the light.
True.
So we want to tell the people that there's a lot of work to do. And
True.
I think the best way to go through this is to keep it clean in whatever we do in our lives.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So that we can become that plan of the Almighty of salvation. See?
Absolutely.
Yes, and there's no other way,
There's
Great.
no other way.
because the pyramids will be open again and
Oh,
everything
yeah.
will start from the start again.
From
Right?
the high culture, the high civilization, that we
Yes.
last saw 13,000 years ago
Yes.
will be with us one day.
Going back to the golden age as it was, I know. Because remember, from
The
golden
golden
age, we went to
ages.
silver age. From silver age, we went now to bronze. Now from iron or out of iron age now. So our lining, our way of thinking, we don't have to blame the people.
Yes.
It means now what is happening. Our sun is in a binary star with the star called Cyrus. So when is the age of golden age is when the sun and Cyrus, they are closer. So they were apart. Now they are coming closer a little bit. So our consciousness is going to come back. We are going to remember whether we like it or not. What we must know, Rastafari is only maybe having this seat in the Aquarius, because Aquarius age must be 2000 plus another 2160 is 4160 years, and then the age of Aquarius would be, it's just dawning. That's why Paniwela is saying we are incarnate soul from that time. Nothing new under the sun. So we're coming to this age. So we're born at this time for this time to remind our people that now we are coming closer to the higher one. So as we come closer to that higher one, him doesn't go with belief. Him doesn't go with another way. It's overstanding as civilization it was. We must know mathematics. We must know physics. We're going back as we gave people civilization, as we gave people everything. Our civilization, people, they mustn't be confused. That's why people are coming to the southern hemisphere. They are coming back where they come from. Because this is the time of now going back to civilization. So the actual Egypt, the actual cradle of humanity, of mankind, the actual beginning of beginning, that's why we call it Mpumalanga, the outing of the sun. There's no other place that we have. I hope my teacher let me found with those words. I give thanks and praises for that.
Yes, sir.
Even I for I, madam.
Yes,
And
I.
for the teacher, and for Togozo,
Yes, I.
and for the technical team.
Yes.
For us, we are part and parcel of making this knowledge
Yes.
to go to the four corners of the earth.
I feel
For
like
now.
I feel like this is part 2.
Yes.
I want to say thank you for
Yes,
coming
sir.
through. I want to say thank you for spreading this information and sharing it with us here at Umoja Urban Culture TV, the way we do it. We really appreciate it. And we will work on part 3.
Yes,
Must
please. No.
To our viewers, we give thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you found this part interesting, please feel free to watch our part 1 when about New Year's.
Yes, that's
Ethiopian New Year's, Enkutatash. You will hear more about the New Year's, the seasons changing, and how important it is for us to know our seasons and when the stars is aligned with what and all of these earthly activities.
Rastafari.
We give thanks. Blessings.